Hello and welcome to our last head-to-head of this autumn-winter 17 season. Today we're talking about Paris, so the last week of the season, and we want to talk about Christian Dior. I'm Mimma Viglezio and I'm happy to welcome again Stephen Jones, who looks so dapper today.
Oh, thank you,
and
Mimma.
So gorgeous. You look like $1 million. What is this jacket?
This is a really, really old jacket I've had for longest time ever, and these are all badges from the Apollo missions that I collected as a child, and saved them all on this jacket. And I found it again up in the loft.
It's
about 6
extraordinary.
months ago.
I've just seen the other day the Hidden Figures, the film about the 3 extraordinary women who actually made NASA happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so you must go and see that film if
Okay,
you're
I will
interested
do.
about that,
Yeah.
because it's a true story. But enough about women and cinema. Let's talk fashion. So Christian Dior, we chose Christian Dior first of all because it's the second ready-to-wear outing of Maria Grazia, Curie, and also because the here present Stephen Jones works on it. So you've been working with Dior for many years, I guess.
Yeah, I've worked with
You've
Dior
seen
for
many
20
designers?
years. Yeah, 20 years now.
So you started with Ferré?
No, I started with John. I was working with John Galliano at Givenchy, and then he asked me to come to Dior with him. So I was there all during his time, and then when he left, then I worked with Bill Gayton, who was there for a year, and then with Raf, who I'd worked with at Jill Sander, and then Serge and Lucy, who were there just as interim designers, and then Maria Grazia.
So, and it doesn't want to sound bad what I'm going to say, but so you come with Dior, or the designers, they know how great your relationship with the brand is, and they, no matter who they are, they're like,
no, I
need Stephen Jones.
I take each day as it comes. But I sort of come with Dior. But I have a good relationship with the designers, you know. So much of what I do is about communication, so it's to find a way to communicate.
But that's why I was adamant about choosing Dior for this head-to-head, because it's so great when you can bring an insight. So let me tell you a few words, as I usually do, and then I guess I'm going to give you the floor. So this was an interesting show where everything was blue, not only the environment, the light, the mood, but also the collection. And Maria Grazia said that she found this particular shade of blue, midnight blue, almost black, in the archives, in some notes by Mr. Dior himself, where he was saying that blue is the only color that can compete with black because it's as elegant, or as, yeah, I think he said as elegant. It's been controversial. Some people have criticized it for the monochromatic stance of the show. Some other liked it. Personally, I think it's, of the two, definitely the strongest collection of, even if I take into account her couture, this is by far for me the most interesting. I think she's managing to bring the Dior aesthetics to a younger, dapper audience. I don't think she has found exactly her calling yet. It was a bit weird that it was all blue, so I really hope that her clients will like blue, because otherwise they're in trouble. And yeah, I don't know, it's a bit weird. People say it looks like Valentino. I disagree. I don't think it did. There was a little bit of monastic thing here and there, but it doesn't look like Valentino. Yeah, before talking about the headpieces, what did you think about the show in general? Or are you allowed to think something?
Oh yeah,
about
of
the
course, very importantly. I mean, I was going to ask you, did you love it or did you hate it?
No, I didn't hate it, for sure. I loved some of it. Let me tell you like this. There is a return of beauty in fashion, you know, after a few years where the model had to be ugly, the makeup had to be, ugly, it's a big word, but I mean, everybody was trying to be Miuccia Prada, who's so good with ugly, and they were not good with ugly, so the model had to have much makeup and the hair, and they had to look sad and angry. I think in the past 2 seasons there is a return of beauty and chic and harmony. And I think this show had a lot of that, and I love the little touch of French with the headpiece and the hair, and I do love blue. I do. I just think, if I think about who Maria Grazia Chiuri is, I don't think she is there yet. But I'm more on the positive.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about doing the collection in blue, I mean, I think it was great. Why not? So many designers have done collections in a monochromatic colour. You know, whether it was, I mean, I remember far back to, you know, Rifat Ozbek's collection in, I think it was 1990 when he showed it in all white. Valentino Valentino showed an all red collection. Comme des Garçons showed an all black collection.
But didn't Saint Laurent as well, Mr. Saint Laurent, do a whole white collection in the 60s?
Yeah. I mean, so it's actually quite a normal thing to do. So, you know, if somebody says, "Oh, I don't like it because it's all blue," well, sorry, I don't really think that's a criticism. It's very interesting. I mean, I think it's much more of a point that Dior is showing jeans as we see at the moment.
Yeah, not keen on the denim.
I mean, I did ask Maria Grazia about the jeans, and she said, well, yes, of course we do, like the beautiful new look taffeta dresses, but what are you going to wear at the weekend? Are you going to wear a pair of jeans at the weekend? So she does a pair of jeans so she can dress that woman, and she's dressing the woman for lots of different events.
Yeah, she also called, sorry I interrupt, but she also said the blue is the color of uniforms.
Yeah.
And these were uniforms for different moments in the life of a woman.
Yeah, I mean, certainly she sees, and this is a good thing and a bad thing at Dior, most fashion houses have to, you know, convey their identity and their meaning in 2 or maybe 4 collections a year, which is pret-a-porter. So they have to show their fantasy and they have to show their saleability. With Dior it's different, with Chanel it's different, because they have haute couture as well. So for Maria Grazia, the pret-a-porter is about things to sell. It's about things for people to wear. And also because she comes from an accessories background, is very much about, you know, that item itself, not only the look. So it's a slightly different perception to other designers.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, but I think there is a lot between denim and, you know, a couture gown. And when I say I'm not convinced about the denim, it's not that I don't think Dior should do denim. I'm not convinced about that denim.
That denim.
I don't think it was the strongest outing.
Okay.
So I have nothing against, I mean,
Sure.
I personally can spend a lot of money on a beautiful coat, on a pair of whatever, I'm not mentioning brands, but I don't spend that much money on denim because, you know,
but I think a lot of
jeans,
I think a lot of those Dior clients will do. You know, they might go into for an outfit for a formal occasion.
Does it even say Dior somewhere?
Yeah,
because
that's
what they want.
It actually does on the turn-up.
Oh.
It has the Dior J'adore tape on the turn-up. So
which has become J'adore to change it from
the
John ones, right? Yeah.
I always get confused about that.
Yeah.
But you know, the jeans are there, so if somebody goes in and they buy a Dior formal suit, which is, I don't know, £5,000 or something, £4,000, they will pick up a pair of jeans for £800.
Yeah, well, they're still cheaper than the Vetements ones. If
they're still cheap. I don't know how much they are.
No, they're about that. Yeah. I think her strength is are the dresses. But then I think she's doing a very good job with the tailoring. I think the coats, being the jacket or long coats, are very, very beautiful, and they're very reminiscent of Dior.
Yeah.
They that's all a good reference.
What's extraordinary, it's all double-faced cashmere, so it's all sort of made in on itself. It's not lined. So it is cashmere on the inside and outside, and
which make them £5,000.
Yeah, which is a very complicated, extremely laborious, because essentially they're all hand sewn together invisibly.
She said that there was a lot the influence of her daughter. She says, I have a daughter.
Raquel, her daughter, who lives in London.
That keeps me close to what they want, and
Yeah.
this is stuff that she understands and likes.
Yeah, and she, during the fitting, she will say to Raquel, well, what do you think of that? And Raquel will say her opinion.
Do you think that Dior is for a 20 years old? Do you think it should be for a 20 years old? Am I saying something
should be
old-fashioned, like Dior is a grown-up brand?
I think it's a point of view, it's not an age. And what she's expanding is the Dior point of view. I think I agree with you that maybe it's not exactly there yet, but I think the idea behind the aesthetics, the point of view, I think that's really what she's working on. I mean, for example, six months ago when she did that T-shirt, "We Should All Be Feminists,"
yes,
it was seen just as a fashion thing. I mean, my God, how prophetic was that with everything going on?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I think she has got her finger on the pulse and this future pulse.
She put a bandana on every seat.
Yeah.
To remind of the business of fashion initiative about being linked together. Let's go.
But this is really when people.
But
when people go to Dior, what they love, what they imagine are these taffeta skirts, for example, and taffeta dresses, because that's sort of the romance of Dior. But of course, you can see that she's actually teamed these with flat boots to take away the dressiness of them.
Yeah, I think look number 20 it's very beautiful, and it's something that I would wear in an eye blink.
It's the new look skirt with the
it's very easy for the high street too.
Yeah, a washed cashmere, so it's felted jumper.
Okay, so not that easy to repeat.
No, I mean the silhouette is, but the feel of it, which is
very beautiful, and exactly there it brings me again back to the head and
the head and the beret
and the makeup and the beret. I mean, apart from the beret, I really wanted to tell me about that, but also I really love in this show what I particularly love was the makeup and hair and the simplicity of it. That makeup that it's barely there, but it's actually there.
It is actually there, but it's the genius of Peter Phillips, who is the makeup artist.
And the beret worn in the right way. So let's talk a little bit about those.
A little bit about the beret.
Pieces.
So the way that came around. So Maria Grazia had been to Los Angeles, and she had bought a beret there.
In Los Angeles?
In Los Angeles. And I said, "What are you thinking about hats for this season?" And she said, "Well, I'm not sure, but I just bought a beret." You didn't even say that we should be doing a beret for the collection. I said, "I love berets." He said, "Why?" I said, "Well, for me, it's like the T-shirt of hats. It suits, young, old, rich, poor, male, female, children, dogs."
I love the T-shirts of hats.
It really is sort of this universal hat. And of course, when you're in France, the beret has a complete significance because the French beret is something which is extremely strong within, French culture. And in fact,
actually French, isn't it?
The last Basque beret manufacturer in France knitted, because in fact berets are knitted, a very special beret for us, and we had some jacquard ribbons made. But I presented a selection of berets made out of different materials, and
so hold on a second, you said that the original beret is knitted?
Yeah, it's actually knitted. It's
With
knitted like a huge
here.
sort of pizza or something, and then it's boiled and boiled and boiled and boiled, and it shrinks and shrinks and shrinks and shrinks, and the knitted wool becomes felted, and that's how a beret is made. It's made in a completely different way to any other hat.
Okay.
And I'd made the beret in a selection of different materials. We had some in embroidery, we had some in different in felt, but I'd made a sample in leather as well. And initially, Maria Grazia had said, "Oh, that's too strong. Has too many meanings in it." And in fact, then we tried it on with like a bar jacket in cashmere and a pleated taffeta skirt. And in fact, that achieved just the visual balance and emotional balance that those very sort of ladylike clothes needed, just to make it a little bit tougher, so emotionally and visually as well, because she knew that that would be, most of the clothes were, apart from the evening wear, was very, very matte. So those would just give that little bit of shine to the silhouette.
Which the non-leather one wouldn't give?
Wouldn't give. It wouldn't be as bright. But what we did, one of the things is that when you're making a hat for a runway show, that the hat always appears paler than the outfit because it's closer to the lights. So in fact, the beret was always in black, not in navy blue. Because
those
in navy,
are black.
all black. Because if it was navy blue, they would always appear paler than the jackets. So that's just a.
It's very interesting to hear.
I've done this
because
before.
These are things, yeah, of course. These are things that I don't know, and it's fascinating. So
I'd made 25 of them. That was on the Monday. The show was on the Friday, and I put them on, and we tried them. And Maria Grazia, she said, "Stephen, do you think I could have 70, please?"
So you had to call
once I scraped myself off the floor.
You have to call your studios and say, I need another 50.
Yeah. Well, I have a great team there, and we were able to do it. Yeah.
So you do everything in house. You are your own manufacturer.
Christian Dior is the only haute couture house which still has their own atelier.
No, but in-house. I mean, you also, Stephen Jones. You make your own hats.
Yeah,
no matter how
in
many,
London.
No matter,
in London, yes, but these are made in the Dior ateliers in Paris.
Okay, these Beret, they know how to make hats as well.
Yeah. We have our own atelier, specific atelier for hats at Christian Dior. It's the only place that has it still.
So, okay, for me, what I see, first of all, berets usually are not in leather, right? And
I think sometimes they have been. When I showed concept pictures to her, there was Angelica Houston wearing one in a Dior cosmetics advertisement from 1975. I had a picture of Marlene Dietrich wearing a beret. She had hundreds of different berets. I showed her a picture of Johnny Rotten wearing a beret. So berets fit into so many different scenarios.
Yeah. And you were saying that it was giving it a little bit of a strong attitude. So I agree on that, but I also think that it plays a little bit the gown or the dress up look down, meaning it gives it a younger allure, but also a little bit more sportive. So
number 30, I mean, that's like such a fairy tale dress. It's in shaded tulle. With completely sequined, and it's basically a strapless bustier. But put a beret with that.
And flats, and you can go to the
it just looks
supermarket, almost. It's a
little bit wasted
for that.
It all depends which supermarket you're going to.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is that it looks less black tie
not oldie.
Events, Yeah, not oldie, and but actually, it's not easy to look good in a beret. I mean, these girls, they look good in anything, but
well,
then
it all
what
depends
about
how.
We normal women?
It all depends how you put the beret on. You see, that way is the way that Angelica Houston wore it in this advertisement. So it's sort of slightly asymmetric and pulled right down at the back, which is a bit of a sort of 70s way of wearing it. Most of the other people, for example, with Dietrich, she wore it much more on the top of the head with her hair coming forward with a curl. Johnny Rotten wore it flat as a pancake. If only I had a beret here, I could try one on you now. But
yeah, I don't look very good with hats, and I've always envied people that do. But exactly, you would think that everybody can look good in a hat?
Yes, and you could look great in hats.
Okay, I need you more often in my life.
But, okay, if we do this again in 6 months' time, she will be hatted in every program.
Okay. Back to...
Nothing like a challenge, is there?
Back to Maria Grazia show. So how does it work? So how long before she tells you, I would like a beret? I mean, has she designed the whole collection already? How does that happen?
The collection was, she will conceptualize the collection, and then she will have a briefing to many different people, both the people who are sort of sketch artists, or the fabric people, or the leather goods division. Hats are handled normally sort of slightly separately, because I sort of have an intimate relationship not only with her, but with any designer who I'm working with. So it tends to happen in a different sequence, and also a little bit later, because they probably want to see the reality of what the clothes look like a bit more.
Well, exactly. Isn't it because it's not an accessory, but is it a real part of the look?
It's sort of a real part.
Clothes?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not like a bag.
Yeah, and sometimes somebody might say to me, a beret, but often what we will do is sort of discuss about, the theme of the collection and what it's supposed to represent. So the aesthetics or the ideas which are put into the clothes, I then listen to and think of what hat would go with that, as opposed to, just balancing the silhouette or balancing the story. Yeah. I need to think about it from many different aspects. But I think I started to work on them with my team probably about a month beforehand.
So it's not long before.
It's not long beforehand, but if you work too early, then the idea of the collection might change. So there'll be a lot of wasted work. If you work too late, then you're chasing your tail and you don't have enough time to do it. So it's very important to find the right time and the right balance, and the balance that the designer feels comfortable with. I mean, when we started to work on this collection, I didn't know we would do a hat for every girl. I thought there might be. In the summer collection, there were 8 hats in the show of 65 outfits. I didn't imagine there were going to be a hat on.
So here you have every look has a hat. Yeah. Can we go down a little bit towards the more dressed up dresses? So towards the end, I think. Mm-hmm. Because I'm very interested in looking at the beret with a gown. I think. Do you think you have created a trend? Do you think we will see berets on red carpet?
I don't know. It'd be great if we did.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. It makes it look more real somehow. And this was actually.
Is that the end? 54 looks?
No, there's more than that. This is something that John Galliano had a fantastic assistant called Stephen Robinson, who worked with him for many years. Who passed away. And he was the person who really taught me about taking a formal outfit and putting a very informal hat with it, how he can take it down. And that's, in the big pot of all the different design influences and the ways of designing, that's one of the other elements that you can do, is you can put a very dressy hat with a very simple outfit, or you can wear a very simple hat with a dressy outfit. And that's one of the polarities that you can play with.
Alessandro Michele has put beret on, I think it was probably his first or second show.
Everybody does berets.
With gowns.
Yeah.
And then, with those frames, and people were calling it granny chic. I don't think a beret here makes the girls look like granny chic at all.
No, I mean, it's a very different aesthetic. Yeah. But yes, I mean, I have to say, those berets. Sorry, we've talked about berets for about half an hour, but the berets are, without question, the best quality leather that you can buy in the world.
Okay.
We get them from a very specific supplier in Paris, and we grade all the skins. When you look inside them, they're lined with Duchess satin from this company called Clerici in Italy, and it's the top, creme de la creme. And then it has the little Dior B embroidered in gold inside.
So it's going to be a very expensive beret.
Reassuringly expensive, but actually a very beautiful object as well, because when people do buy a beret, it's not only a hat, it's not only something to put on, it is an object within itself.
Well, I must say it's probably my favorite part of the show, so congratulations on the beret. Let's move on. And let's maybe spend the next 5-10 minutes on Paris in general, because I think it was a rather interesting season where the shows started to change a little bit. There were like the Celine show where the model were hanging around, and then I don't remember who else did it, and then people were trying to find something to say on top of the clothes until the rocket.
Until the rocket.
Karl Lagerfeld, which we have seen everywhere on the social media. I must say, I'm a little bit, tiny bit, you know,
It's so
doubtful
interesting.
about. It's a lot
Yeah.
of money. It's a little gimmick for a show which is certainly beautiful, but it's Chanel as I expect it to be. It wasn't a rocket show to me. What do you think?
Well, you know, it is strange because the rest of the design world is trying to find its political conscience and trying to do clothes which represent. But at the same time, yes, clothes can do that, but there's a huge purpose of clothes for just being entertainment and just being eye candy, because what you want is something which is sort of fun and crazy in order to get through the bad times. And maybe Chanel came into that. I agree that, you know, maybe it's bad taste to spend so much money on constructing a rocket, as he was, you know, vilified as Carl was vilified a few years ago for having brought that iceberg all the way from Norway. And I don't know if they towed it back or whatever happened to it. Yes, they do. They do spend money like that.
Iceberg?
I don't know. And they sell huge amounts of Chanel No. 5. I think it's still the most popular fragrance in the world, and it has been for
huge
years.
amounts of everything.
Yeah.
Chanel, let's face it. And
I mean, they're
sure,
hugely successful, and they do have a lot of money, which is why they can afford to have a giant rocket.
I know, and I'm not trying to be moralist or old-fashioned, but I
think the moral thing
this.
is really good.
I was seeing this, and I was like, whoa! And everybody's like, you know, Carl the best, only Carl, only in Paris, only Chanel. Yeah, only Chanel because they have huge amount of money. But for me, that was a tiny bit too far. I haven't decided if I'm right or wrong, but for me, that was a tad too far. And especially because I'm looking at the collection, there's references to the space thing, you know, with some metal materials but it's Chanel in its splendor. If you like Chanel, this is the best of Chanel, you know. It's.
You know, fashion is sometimes, I don't know, I don't particularly like these outfits, but fashion sometimes is as its most glorious when it means nothing. And it's just a jeu d'esprit. It's just a whim. That's when it somehow is its most magical. And I think that's what Carl was trying to do this season. It's like something which is, you know, nothing to do with anything. It's just to do with space, because it's the final frontier. Hang on, where are we? The final frontier.
All the time. I think that's pretty cool about Carl, who wakes up one morning and says, "Oh,
green.
Let's put a rocket in the show," and he can afford it. So that's. I mean, he's a genius. He does exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about what everybody else thinks, and that. Huge respect about that. I must say I like the little white dress, of course.
The little white dress on the right is great.
It's
very
beautiful.
Sort of courageous.
But I'm
But
not
I
sure
think,
about how
you know,
much I enjoyed this.
I do think with all the starving children in the world.
I don't want to go into the refugee crisis and all of that.
You know,
but I'm sure the Vedmaier family does a lot of charity. They do a lot of charity. I hope.
You know, it's. Why is the fashion? There is clothing to keep us from the elements, and fashion, yes, it represents us, but it's also to help us to get through the day and make us dream. Make us dream of maybe a better time or a better life, or is just fun. I think that's really important.
I agree. For me, it's probably a different kind of dream that I dream of.
Yeah, well, maybe you don't dream of going to the moon. But
yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to touch on another point because I thought it was very moving, and not many people have talked about that. The tribute to Riccardo Tisci by the team that designed a whole red collection, by the way.
Right, whole red collection.
And they were all looks that he presented in the years. And when someone leaves you, probably for Versace, because it's not official now, but apparently, you know. So he actually left his job. I think it's very touching that that happened.
I mean, I think he is hugely respected in the industry and by clients too, for what he has done and what he has achieved at Givenchy, because he actually was the first person since Hubert de Givenchy, which
Who succeeded there?
has succeeded,
Yeah.
because it was John, and then it was Lee
Yeah.
McQueen, and then it was Julian MacDonald.
Oh, Julian MacDonald, yeah,
And-
it's true.
and-
After Lee, no, it was before Lee. No, it was after Lee.
After Lee. Yes, after Lee.
It's a long time ago.
And he made a success of it, a huge success. He gave it a completely different meaning, but
He did an incredible job.
yeah. He's a very.
We don't have the images, but maybe there they come. And it was when I was looking at it, I was beginning like, why does someone have to do something all red? And then I saw it was all about Riccardo, and what is it? Love for Riccardo? It's why red? Does it have a meaning in Riccardo's story? I'm sorry, I should probably know, but
I don't know. Maybe he never did red. Maybe he didn't.
but I recognize the silhouettes. I recognize the looks.
Yeah. They're all things that
recognize
he has
what
done
he's
in the
done,
past. Yeah. I don't know. One of the things is, I mean, this is something that Maria Grazia does as well. If you have lots of different outfits which are telling all different stories, which this is, from lots of different times, if you do them all in one colour, it glues the whole thing together.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
it's a beautiful collection. Red, I mean, I don't associate red with Riccardo Tisci or Givenchy at all. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's the color of love. And anyway, I thought that this.
I don't know. It's also the color. It's
read
also the
of-
color of danger.
Yeah, it's also the color of the devil. I haven't read much about this, but I think it was just yesterday, probably, or this morning, or. But I thought it was very moving and very intelligent thing to do for a brand that is, orphaned of a designer for a season.
Yep. And how long has he been there for? Is it like 15 years or something? 12 years? I can't remember.
12 or 13 years, yeah. Maybe
But
even more, 15, could be 15.
Remember when he first went there, he got the worst reviews of anybody. I mean, everybody was saying, oh my God, this is a disaster. Oh my God, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, because nobody knew about him, right?
Yeah, but often when people do go to houses, it takes a while for them to get their aesthetics in tune with the house and create their own language. If you're a designer going to a house, you can't make the entire vocabulary overnight.
No, but
it
I
will
think
take you like 2 or 3 years.
But it's more difficult for Maria Grazia Chiuri because she was already Maria Grazia Chiuri, so people have high expectations. And it's even harder for the people to say, oh, it looks like Valentino, or she's
Well, in a way,
one.
of course, it looks like
While
Valentino,
Riccardo,
because Valentino looks like her. They got that the wrong way around. Valentino looked like her. She didn't look like Valentino because she created Valentino. Valentino now
Are
has
you
got,
sure?
Valentino now has got very, very little to do with how Valentino looked before that they were designing there. So she created a new aesthetic, and with Pier Paolo.
he's doing a great job.
Yeah, he is
So
doing a great
he
job.
had something to say about that, no?
Yes, but he's in the comfort zone of continuing to do what they created together. What's difficult for her is that, I mean, I've not discussed this with her, but half of Valentino was her, and that's how that Valentino aesthetic was created, which was part of her.
Yeah, but what I wanted to say is that when Riccardo came to Givenchy, he was an unknown, very young designer that the Arnault family, for some reason, discovered. So it was more difficult in a way because the fashion people say, like, who is that? Like they did with Alessandro Michele, who had been at Gucci for 13 years. But on the other hand, it was easier because they were not comparing to his previous work.
Sure.
I mean, he had presented one collection under his name that we don't even remember. So, it's always interesting when now Riccardo will go somewhere else, where? Then
I mean,
they will
for
say,
example,
oh, it looks like Givenchy. Or, oh,
I mean, it'd be very
it's him.
interesting. I mean, for example, if he does go to Versace, the interesting with people will say, yes, it looks like Givenchy. However, Donatella is still there, and she's
even more difficult.
and that aesthetic is still very, very alive, and people love that aesthetic still.
Yeah, even if I think that if Riccardo is announced at Versace, it's because Donatella steps down. Like they can't have them both together. It's not Versus where you do 2 seasons and you're a young rising star. Well,
I'm not
we'll
so sure.
talk about this next season.
Because by then we'll know.
By then we will know what happened at Versace.
Yep.
In the meantime, goodbye.